Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Sri Lanka. This is a Thursday, folks, the 22nd of November, and let me just say this, because tomorrow is my mom's birthday, so I'd like to wish her a happy birthday. I won't be here, so I'm wishing her in advance, and hopefully I can tape this. And today is going to be an interesting day, interesting conversation. We've got lovely guests inside the studio. But before we get to that, some stories that we would like to share with you. If you haven't heard yet, apparently U.S. President Barack Obama's got a new pen pal. And her name is Sophie Bailey Clark. She's 10 years old, who has invited the president to dinner, but he hasn't responded yet. And apparently, according to this, she has written to the president, to President Barack Obama, because of his support for her parents, who happen to be a gay couple. And he says, the letter reads, "Dear Barack Obama, it's Sophie, your friend who invited you to dinner. You don't remember? Okay, that's fine. But I just wanted to tell you that I am glad you agree that two men can love each other, because I have two dads and they love each other." And hopefully the president will respond and show up for dinner. So that's one interesting story. Another one that we'd like to share with you, just in case you don't know yet, with the New Year just around the corner, and of course with the New Year comes a series of award-giving bodies, and one of them, of course, is the biggest, which is the Academy Award. And apparently after this time, it's all about campaigning in Hollywood, to which Sir Anthony Hopkins has said that it is simply disgusting. He is getting a lot of praise for his role as Hitchcock. This is based on the story of how Sir Alfred Hitchcock created the movie Psycho and his relationship with his wife. Then he said that it is just simply unbelievable, the amount of campaigning that certain actors, directors, and agents doing right now in Hollywood just to get the nod for the Academy Awards. And he says that he doesn't find himself part of that lot, and he finds it very unprofessional, and it's all a lot of nonsense. That's according to him. And speaking of movies, let me just get to this. Some of the movies considered that are actually better than the novel. The number one is The Notebook. Believe it or not, Nicholas Sparks' novel, well, the movie version that starred Ryan Gosling and Rachel McAdams, is considered better than the book, and so you might just want to check it out this weekend. The Notebook, better than the book. So here we go with our first conversation, and we are very privileged to have with us the lovely lady who's a senior lecturer at the university, at the Open University. She has also written a paper that's presented March 8 of this year in celebration of International Women's Day, and it's on early marriage and statutory rape, two of considered taboo topics in the country. Please welcome inside the studio Dr. Harini Amarasuriya. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning. Ma'am, the topic of your paper, early marriage and statutory rape, let's face it, this is not the easiest of topics when it comes to dealing with society and how we deal with problems like this. What made you decide to take on such a topic, and how long before you managed to finish the paper?
The paper, let me correct you on one fact. It's a co-authored paper. It was a research that was conducted by myself and Professor Savitri Gunasekara. This came about as a result of, I mean, if anyone who's reading the newspapers would know that there's a lot of reports of early marriage and rape of underage.
Police is like 830 now.
That's right. So there's been a lot of media attention on this subject as well, and other than that, there has also been lots of cases reported to the police, in courts, and as a result, there was the Center for Women's Research, which actually did the research, thought this was an issue that needed investigation, and it happened so that UNICEF and the Ministry of Justice was also interested in looking at this issue in depth. So as a result, this study was commissioned, and it took about a year to complete. Because we wanted to look at both issues in depth, to look at the causes as well as the consequences for girls of early marriage and statutory rape.
So if you could give us a sample of the research that has been done, like urban setting compared to rural, the demographic, the social belonging of a family, rich, poor. How Was there a common trend throughout all?
The study itself was conducted in 6 districts in Sri Lanka, right? And it tried to look at different communities. So Sinhala, Tamil, Muslim, mixed, sort of diverse communities. Didn't look too much at the rural-urban disparities, but it was kind of trying to get a sense of what kind of experiences girls generally undergo when it comes to early marriage and statutory rape. So the common trend seems to be, I mean, if you just look at some of the findings, it's that most people in Sri Lanka seem to know that you have to be 18 years old to marry. That seems to be pretty well recognized and understood.
With parents' consent, you cannot marry.
You cannot marry unless you're 18 years old, and most people seem to know this. The question of statutory rape was
the definition
of
is a definition of what is statutory rape.
Yeah.
Well defined.
Well, it's well defined in law.
In law.
Statutory rape. It means that you cannot have sex with a girl who's under 16 years of age. With, I mean, consent it does not come into the picture at all. You cannot have sex with a girl who's under 16 years of age. This is less well known. Most people seem to be quite unaware of this. And what seems to happen is that if that there are older men who are in relationships with younger women, sometimes as young as 14, 15 years old, and they engage in sex, and they don't realize that they're breaking the law. So that happens. There were several instances of this happening also, where there were cases of incest, cases of very young children being abused. So all of this would fall under statutory rape. The early marriage, we actually didn't find that many instances of people falsifying their age or falsifying records in order to get married. What usually happens is, seems to happen, is that if a younger woman is engaged in some kind of sexual relationship, then there's a lot of pressure on her to make that relationship more or less permanent. So people may know that you cannot get married, so they live together, they cohabit.
Common law.
Yeah, and then that is recognized as a marriage by the family and the community. And that somehow makes this relationship okay.
But there's no protection under the law.
There's no protection under the law.
Okay, and interesting about statutory rape. We are, of course, the intimate moments between two consenting adults is of course is on the adult being defined as 18 years old. Now someone might be watching right now, I'm 16, my girlfriend's 16. We decide to, although we're not supporting this, but it happens, it's reality in life, that you, when you're young, you're in love, you find yourself very interesting moments. Would that be considered statutory? It's between two underage. Yes.
Still, the guy would be held responsible.
So there you go. Yeah, because that is now the common. We're both dating. We're of the same age bracket.
We did come across cases like that, where, I mean, you have the girl. If the girl is under 16, the boy could be 17, 18, 19. It still doesn't matter. It's considered statutory rape. So it is against the law. I mean, and here, like you said, between the idea behind the law is that you have to be of a certain age to make that decision, to make that choice, and that unless you're 16 years old, the law thinks that you're not of a mature enough age. I mean, we can debate why 16, why not 15. That's a different. But that's what the law says currently. So till you're 16 years, you are not considered under the law to have the maturity to make that decision.
Till 18. Okay.
Till you're 16.
Till 16.
Yeah.
Okay. My next question is: a lot of people will actually accept that this is happening, but there are also abuses that has been going on regarding men, young men.
Yeah.
Are they part of the protection according to the law? Like, if a certain boy or a teenager was forced to indulge in, but he's under 18 and 17.
Yeah, that would constitute sexual abuse, child sexual abuse, and has severe penalties.
But not rape, because
if it's not consensual, it's forced. It is forced. And then it's rape.
Yeah, because right now, I think the main argument right now in the world is like how to define rape. If it's only towards a female, or it can also be towards a male. So if just to enlighten our viewers, the definition now of rape is on both genders, or still more so seen for females?
Well, statutory rape, I'm not a lawyer, so you may need to clarify this with a legal person, but my understanding is that when it comes to statutory rape, it's in relation to girls. But rape can, you know, I don't know the legal definition of rape, whether that includes male, but that could constitute sexual abuse. And that carries with it severe penalties.
That's right. Now, when you were doing the research, when you approach certain individuals that this is your topic, was it easy to get a yes response, or did you get more like, that doesn't happen in my family, that's not happening in my community?
Yeah,
because there's also child denial, which from the past interview and conversation that we had with experts and people in authority, it's always been, it's not happening here, it won't happen here, it can't be happening here. How was it? How were you received by people?
Yeah, it's not an easy subject to talk about, and it's also definitely not an easy subject to research, because it's a very sensitive issue. You have to be very careful when you're doing that kind of research. So we had a sort of a very strict sort of research protocol as well as to how you could approach people, and it was usually through contacts. People would say, look, I know of someone like this, and that person might be willing to talk, and it would be done sort of very, very gently and very tactfully, and I mean, in the research also, we don't talk of individual cases. We have anonymized details so that the protection and the identity of people who responded were kept completely confidential.